the ripoff, and 0-0 is the way
I
to
know,
make
but we don't have 0-0,
sir.
We don't have 0-0, actually, because when we saw the president stand in the Rose Garden holding up that chart that you helped make, that wasn't actually tariffs. That was actually confusing to investors because it was some kind of other formula, and the countries themselves seemed kind of random. Like, why are the Heard and McDonald Islands, which don't export to the United States and are quite literally inhabited by penguins, why do they face a 10% tariffs? Did you use AI to generate this?
No. The idea is
why are they on the list?
Left off. Because the idea, what happens is, if you leave anything off the list, the countries that try to basically arbitrage America go through those countries to us. Any country, like we had tariffs, the president put tariffs on China, right, in 2018. And then what China started doing is they started going through other countries to America.
Right.
They just built through other countries through America. And so the president knows that. He's tired of it, and he's going to fix that. So basically he said, look, I can't let any part of the world be a place where China or other countries can ship through them. So he ended those loopholes, these ridiculous loopholes. And now what he's trying to say is, I'm going to fix the trade deficit of the United States of America. It's a national security issue. We need to make medicine. We need to make semiconductors. We need to make ships. We need to have steel and aluminum. Come on. We need the greatness of America to actually be built in America. And he's tired of getting ripped off by the rest of the world.
Okay, but just to be clear, April 9th.
In all of his books, Peter Navarro has cited an economics expert to justify his views. And the economics expert he cites is somebody named Ron Vera, V-A-R-A, Ron Vera. When Trump won the presidency and entered the White House, this Ron Vera started circulating a memo around Washington in support of Trump using tariffs in trade policy. According to the New York Times, the memo had been, quote, sent from an email address purportedly belonging to Ron Vera. At one point, Ron Vera wrote in the memo that Trump could, quote, ride the tariffs to victory. Problem is, Ron Vera doesn't exist. He never has. The economics expert that Peter Navarro has long cited to explain why he's so gung-ho on tariffs, this person, Ron Vera, is a made-up person. He is a fictional person. Peter Navarro invented Ron Vera as his expert source so he could quote this expert source over and over and over again in his crackpot books. Who is Ron Vera? Ron Vera is an anagram of Navarro, which is his last name. But that really is how the Trump administration crafted its tariff policy. That's where Trump came up with the tariff idea. Circulating a fake memo from a fake person with a fake email address in order to make it look like this was a serious issue being debated by real experts. That is the intellectual basis on which Donald Trump today wiped $6 trillion of wealth out of existence and crashed America's markets and brought America and the world to the brink of a self-inflicted, on-purpose, global Great Depression along the lines of what we had in 2008 and what the pandemic inflicted upon us in 2020. This time, the global disaster is Donald Trump's big brain.
When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. Vote Trump and your incomes will soar, your net worth will skyrocket. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down.
Welcome back to State of the Union. President Trump making a lot of promises on the campaign trail. Is the reality today different from what his voters expected? My panel joins me now. And let me talk to one of the two Trump voters we have at the table, Congresswoman Malliotakis. Do you think that there are Trump voters who might have some regret today, given what's going on in the markets with their 401ks?
Well, I think people are coming into this looking, look, the president has secured the border. Border crossings are down 95%. He is deporting tens of thousands of people who have been dangerous, including murderers from New York City. He is also making sure that, look, we've seen mortgage rates come down, inflation has come down, egg prices have come down. These are things you cannot ignore. It's been, he's brought home around a dozen hostages. people who were held overseas. And he, within 2 months, was able to get them back. So is there a little concern about the market? Absolutely there is. I think it is a little bit of a over-exaggeration by the market at this moment, and I would equate it to a little turbulence as you move to smooth skies. But you've seen trillions of dollars in investment. You've seen companies saying that they're going to expand operations here. And, of course, a great jobs report the other day, nearly 250,000 new jobs.
So, Congresswoman Skolton, go ahead.
A jobs report that came out before the market started crashing, and Americans lost $4 trillion in savings. You can't ignore. You're talking about giving subsidies to farmers because you know how bad this is going to be. America is losing under Trump. The American people are losing under Trump.
So let me just bring this up. Here's Trump's message to voters, if we can bring that up. This is an economic revolution, and we will win. Hang tough. It won't be easy, but the end result will be historic. Now, that is not the same message that we heard during the campaign.
Yeah, a little bit, though, Jake. If you go back, look at Donald Trump 35 years ago. Look at him on Oprah for 35, 40 years ago. Listen, Congresswoman, you can shake your head as much as you want. I'm from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. I invite you to come to my hometown. I invite you to come to see where my dad worked, which is now a brownfield site. So who are we to blame for those jobs being offshored over the past 40 years?
David,
hold on. We did this Democratic and Republican.
From Michigan about brownfield.
Listen, you don't have to tell the Congresswoman from Michigan about brownfield sites.
Please, hold on.
I invite you to come to my district and listen to Republicans in my district who are saying they regret their vote.
Let me finish. Donald Trump is trying to rectify bad policy, Republican and Democratic policy over the past 40 years. So it's going to be a little painful to get these jobs to come back. We've had policies which have encouraged manufacturing to go overseas. What do we have to do to encourage manufacturing to come back? That's what Donald Trump's trying to do. I guarantee you, if you told Americans, would you be willing to pay $1 more for tube socks if we made them in America? They would say, sure, we'll take that pain. And that's what's happening.
Maybe you and I would, David. I don't know that.
Jake, I think every American would do it because we want to make things.
We can afford it.
We want to make things. Listen, we want to make things in America. And if you explain to people, Jake, that $1.50 would go to their neighbors who are working in factories in America, they would take it day in and day out. I promise.
Again, I invite you to come.
I will go. Let's go. We'll go together. I'll come with you. You come to Aliquippa.
The town halls that we have been doing, where we are seeing Republicans and Democrats alike. I went to a county that Trump won by 20 points. Hundreds of people showing up and saying, I'm a Republican. I voted for Trump, and this is not what I voted for.
Let me just, one thing that's interesting, tech billionaire Elon Musk, first buddy, big Trump booster. He joined Italy's far-right League Party rally this weekend to give his take on the new Trump tariffs. Take a listen.
I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
He also, on tweets this weekend, Jamal, seemed to be taking shots at Peter Navarro, who is obviously one of the masterminds of this tariff strategy beyond President Trump, of course. Is he diverging from the administration, you think? In this?
Well, it seems like Elon Musk is he's got sort of a funny position inside. We've heard about other conversations he's had with secretaries that haven't gone very well. He's usurping his powers and dipping into other people's departments. I think no one elected Elon Musk, the billionaire, the richest man in the world, who paid as much money as anybody's ever paid into a presidential campaign.
Donor.
Right, Trump's top campaign donor. I think nobody elected him, and people are kind of worried about this. What's happening right now is the uncertainty that the president and his administration are putting into the markets are wreaking havoc all over the place. We don't talk about this because we think about the richest people who own so much stock, but most Americans have stock in mutual funds, have stock in their 401ks. If you're about to retire and you see what's happening right now, this does not make you more confident, and I think there are a lot of people who are worried about it.
So, Congresswoman, obviously this is a very real issue for everybody, of course, but you're on the ballot in 2026. You have a little bit of time. But listen to Karl Rove, who wrote in the Wall Street Journal, if this Democratic enthusiasm edge persists in 2026, many swing district House Republicans will be in danger in the midterms. It'll be even worse if Mr. Trump and Republicans repeat one of Democrats' principal mistakes in the Biden presidency, insisting a bad economic policy is actually fine. Unfortunately for Republicans, with Mr. Trump's unrelenting emphasis on tariffs, he'll own all that flows from jacking up levies on imports. You're in a battleground district, as I know I don't need to remind you. How concerned are you about this lasting longer than 30, 60, 90 days?
Look, I think people should see that this is the long game that he is trying to play here. He is trying to fix what has been broken for decades. Nancy Pelosi warned about this in 1996. She said very clearly, and at that time, you had a 35% trade deficit. It is now 35 billion, sorry. Now it's 10 times that. And so they did nothing then. Politicians have always worried about the next election instead of doing what was right to get this country on track. And so he's trying to fix something that will be prosperous for this country in the long run. As I mentioned, oil prices down, egg prices down, mortgage rates down. This is only 2 months of him being in office, and he has already corrected a lot of wrongs.
And look, there's other things coming, right? There's going to be tax relief coming. There's continued deregulation coming. It's a part of a broader plan. I think Americans will give the president. They'll give him some time. I don't know how much time, but they'll give him some time.
One thing I want to just bring this up because I have several books here. I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. The Underground Girls of Kabul in Search of a Hidden Resistance in Afghanistan by Jenny Nordberg. And My Vanishing Country, a memoir by our own Bakari Sellers. What do they have in common? They were all removed from the shelves at the U.S. Naval Academy Library, along with 400 other books by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. You know, you've probably read this, I would say.
So I've got pretty strong feelings about this as a graduate of the United States Military Academy. The singular focus of our military academy is to fight and win America's wars. If you want to be a poet or a lover, you can go to Amherst, you can go to Bowdoin, you can go to Bates. There are plenty of places. You know what you should be reading at Naval Academy? Sun Tzu, Art of War. They should be reading On Naval Strategy by Alfred Mahan. They should be reading Jim Stavridis. We don't listen. Bakari's got a nice book. The students at the Naval Academy, and if you disagree, then the Chinese can just laugh as we study these things.
Listen, these are options. Okay, so these men and women can die. They can still
read it. They can still read it.
They're removed from the shelves. They're removed from the shelves. Listen, these men and women can die from our country, but they can't decide what they're going to read. And also let's be honest, right? This is Trump 101. This is a distraction. Plain and the markets are tanking. Let me finish. The markets are tanking. The markets are tanking. Yeah. Maya Angelou is not the problem. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are the problem.
You don't think the resistance in Afghanistan is relevant to Americans' fighters?
I'll argue that Maya Angelou is not the problem. I agree with you there, but it's communist China is the problem. And I applaud President Trump, though, for focusing on
Maya Angelou is from communist China? How did we get there?
No, but President Trump is focusing on building our naval ships, on our submarines, which is what's needed.
He's focused on dictating what
any thoughts? This is Bakari Sellers. It's autographed. This one's autographed.
Oh, that's right. It's autographed. It's autographed. Listen, I
don't have an issue with the book.
We actually do want military. We actually do want military officers who are thinking broadly and thinking about the world. I went to school with a bunch of them, and when they go out into the world, they have to negotiate. Many of them are like diplomats when they land into a country, and we don't want them just being
Jamal, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong.
No, because there's not a State Department. There's not a State Department because you guys are cutting USAID, and so if we're going to be a strong power nation, that's all we're going to have.
You're misreading it.
But what we're witnessing right now is an informational ethnic cleansing.
Only one guy here went to the military academy. That's all I'm saying, Jake.
Leave Maya Angelou just like you should have left Dr. Seuss.
All right. So how did she pull?
Okay. Welcome to the aftermath of what was dubbed, was it Liquidation Day? Oh, sorry, Liberation Day. What might now be remembered as Meltdown Monday. We're just a few days post April the 2nd, and the economic landscape looks more like a battlefield than a victory parade. President Trump's tariffs have taken effect, and the results. Let's just say the stock markets are less bull and more bear. And we're not talking about a gentle teddy bear. It's a bit of a disaster out there. So, what's the fallout, okay? Stock markets across the globe have taken a nosedive, as if they're, sorry to sound frivolous, competing in an Olympic high dive competition, except there's no water in the pool. Meanwhile, in a move that actually feels like to me a chess grandmaster's check, China has, they clapped back with a reciprocal tariff of 34%. It's like every economics nightmare dressed up as a day trader. 34%. Right, let's break it down. Economics of trade wars for dummies. Okay? Tariffs might seem like a smart move to protect local industries, but here's the catch. They can lead to high prices for consumers and retaliatory actions from trade partners, and retaliation is exactly what we've got today. With China imposing a hefty 34% tariff in response to the US measures, The tit-for-tat strategy has escalated into what might be dubbed World War Fee. Let's start. In Europe, Trump's tariff strategy was about as welcome, I don't know, as a skunk at a garden party. This is at the White House. The continent's already fragile economy is now bracing for further instability. Major industries, particularly automotive, pharmaceuticals, are on the front lines of this economic skirmish. They're kind of caught in a crossfire, escalating tariffs and slowed trade. It's really not good. It just is like. What about North America then? Canada and Mexico. Reading too. These countries are, well, intrinsically linked to the US economy, and the unilateral tariffs slapped on their exports are slicing through sectors, well, like a hot knife through butter. Can't think of a different description. Imagine automotive factories from Ontario to Oaxaca, pumping the brakes on production as costs skyrocket and demand plummets. And as for the global stage, this tariff war might seem like, I don't know, a game of Monopoly, where everyone's trying to build hotels on Park Place, but in reality, it's more like everyone's landed on Boardwalk, equipped with a hotel, and there's no get out of jail free card in sight. Chaos. A mess. Now, as we watch this drama unfold, it's clear that in the game of tariffs, well, the House doesn't always win. In fact, to me, it seems like everyone loses. With markets tumbling and prices climbing, perhaps this episode of Trump's economic game show might just be too dramatic. Even those who thought they'd enjoy a front row seat, like his cabinet. Stay tuned, the economic ripple effects are just beginning. Unfortunately, we're all involved in the true cost of Liberation Day, which is still being tallied. I have no idea how much the final bill of liquidation is going to cost. One thing's for guaranteed, though, you're going to feel it in your wallet or wherever you keep your money.
Wait, we send them $12 billion. So it's not the tariffs. It has nothing to do with tariffs. If they went to 0-0, they would go to $200 billion with us. We need to stop the ripoff, and 0-0 is the way to
no,
make
but we don't have 0-0, sir.
We
don't have 0-0, actually, because when we saw the president stand in the Rose Garden holding up that chart that you helped make, that wasn't actually tariffs. That was actually confusing to investors because it was some kind of other formula, and the countries themselves seemed kind of random. Like, why are the Heard and McDonald Islands, which don't export to the United States and are quite literally inhabited by penguins, why do they face a 10% tariffs? Did you use AI to generate this?
No. The idea is
why are they on the list?
Left off. Because the idea, what happens is, if you leave anything off the list, the countries that try to basically arbitrage America go through those countries to us. Any country, like we had tariffs, the president put tariffs on China, right, in 2018, and then what China started doing is they started going through other countries to America.
Right.
They just built through other countries through America. And so the president knows that, he's tired of it, and he's going to fix that. So basically he said, look, I can't let any part of the world be a place where China or other countries can ship through them. So he ended those loopholes, these ridiculous loopholes, and now what he's trying to say is, I'm going to fix the trade deficit of the United States of America. It's a national security issue. We need to make medicine. We need to make semiconductors. We need to make ships. We need to have steel and aluminum. Come on. We need the greatness of America to actually be built in America. And he's tired of